Let's get to this. So everyone at ESGI has been waiting for this webinar. We're so excited that Dr. Tron is here. Just so you have a little bit of insight, I know you can all read the screen there, but Dr. Tron Young is the Assistant Superintendent for Educational Services in Alton, Illinois. So Southern Illinois, I'm in the northern part, but we're all here in the same state, with over 20 years of experience as a teacher and principal. He was named the 2020 Illinois Middle School Principal of the Year and an NASSP National Distinguished Principal. His honors also include the IEA Bob Haysom Teacher of the Year and finalist for the 2023 Golden Apple Awards for Excellence in Leadership. He is a passionate advocate for student success. Dr. Young inspires others to shape positive learning environments, push boundaries, and lead with creativity, connection, and purpose. So let's get this going. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm going to turn it over to you. Tron, take it away, my friend.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am excited to be with you today for this session of Set the Stage to Engage, being the thermostat and not the thermometer. Now, as he said here, I have about 20 plus years here in this thing called education. It is what I believe is my calling. I started out as a middle school math teacher in my hometown of Centralia, and I absolutely love teaching math. And what I learned in the process of this thing called education is that once kids come to middle school, they are either excited about learning because they love math, or they are very afraid or dislike math because they feel like they're not good at it. So I realized I had to create engagement and excitement in my math class in order to get kids away from the fact of whatever they're learning, they're going to be engaged and excited by the learning process. So in the process, in my seventh grade math class, we would do things like a pause plus a positive is a positive, a negative plus a negative is a negative, a pause plus a negative depends on the biggest integer. We would have fun learning math. We will be getting up, we would talk about slope, how it was rise over run. So every time I said slope, you would rise over run. And what I realized is in early childhood, kids learn through movement, through engagement, through songs, through all of the things that we kind of take away from them once they start getting older and we focus on compliance instead of engagement. Well, it is my hope that we continue to shape the learning environment for engagement. In 2010, I was named the Bob Haseman Teacher of the Year. And I stepped into administration and was beautifully learned that my first year as an elementary principal in a building through first through third grade, I thought I knew how to set structures. I thought I knew how to do procedures. I thought I knew how to engage kids until I stepped into this building with first through third grade teachers who had a procedure for a procedure, who had an expectation for kids to come in, to put their clip in, to clear their box, to do their bell work and be engaged all in 5 minutes. And so I realized, like, hey, kids were actively engaged from the time they entered the door to the time they left. And that is a process that we need to continue to do. And so throughout this process, I talk about the accolades and I talk about the things, because sometimes people need things that I like to call receipts, right? Why is this person standing in front of me or on the screen talking to me about something? And so I want to give you my receipts before we start talking as evidence of, like, let's get down and let's have some great conversations and let's be engaged. A couple things I ask you to do is be willing to participate. So let's make sure that you active on that chat because you're going to be engaged during this process. I don't want you just to sit and get, I want you to be actively engaged during this time. Some things may be a refresher, some things may be new, but all in the same, there are ideas for you to take away to engage inside of your classroom. I don't know if you guys ever heard of a guy named Todd Whitaker, but at one point in time at a session, he has said the best part about teaching is that it matters. And the hardest part about teaching is that every moment matters every single day. Every day. So I want you to take a moment and think about this because this is a time of the year where this rings so true because this time of the year, you are fighting the warmth and the sunshine coming back here in the Midwest. You are talking about kids who have been through a long year, and we have to continue to keep them engaged as they are moving towards that finish line. We got to keep parents actively engaged about all the things that are happening and at the end of the day, still get kids to learn. So, talk to me in your chat. What's the best part about teaching for you? What is the best part about teaching for you? Let's take about 30 seconds and everybody put in what is the best part about teaching? The relationships, the light bulb moments. Yes, the students, seeing them grow, connecting, watching them grow, the teachable moments, the joy in the students coming in your room, student teacher relationships, making lessons meaningful, the social interactions, the tools and autonomy to lead in your classrooms, eyes lighting up, God, late relationships. You teach 4-year olds and you enjoy talking to the kids. Watch them grow in confidence, kindness, and curiosity. Absolutely love this. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there are so many great things. And what I want you to know is those things listed, it's in those hard moments that we got to bring back that joy. We got to bring back those best parts that we remember when things start getting hard, when you're asked to finish out this year and plan for next year. Those things that we got to remember that it's these reasons why we do what we do and we show up every single day. So, thank you so very much for sharing. Now, I have a belief and a leadership philosophy and a teaching philosophy that you need to be the thermostat and not the thermometer. And I say it's a leadership belief because I believe everyone who's in education is a leader because every day you're leading groups of kids, whether they're large groups or small groups, whether you are the principal, the teacher, whether you are the bus driver, no matter what your role, you are a leader. So I need for us to think about this. What's the difference between a thermostat and a thermometer? Talk to me in the chat. What is the difference between a thermostat and a thermometer? Fiction, facts, control. Not one sets the tone, the other tells you what it is. Yes, thermostat controls the environment. Thermostat thermometer rises when it's hot. Control, no control. Tells the temperature when you can control. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You guys are all on it. Let's talk about the thermometer. So, thermometer, you can go and read. A thermometer reacts, right? A thermometer reacts. A thermometer informs you of things, and the thermometer is changed by the environment around it. So it's reactionary. You can only read it. It informs you of things, and it's impacted by the environment around it, right? But when you think about the thermostat responds. Like, I don't know how many of you have a programmable thermostat, but like my thermostat is programmed that once it's one temperature, we either increase the air or increase the heat in order to get it to the temperature for which we want. A thermostat creates a condition of comfort, right? A thermostat impacts. it impacts you. If it's a little too hot, like it is in my office right now, I got a fan on because it's hot, right? So at the end of the day, it impacts my body temperature. And the thermostat adjusts the environment around it. So you think about this time of the year. When you think about where we're at, we need to think about why is it important to be the thermostat and not the thermometer. And there was a very well-known smart man by the name of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that says that we should not merely be a thermometer that has recorded the ideas and principles of popular opinion, but it's a thermostat that has transformed the morals of society. We are in a state and time where everyone and everything around us is trying to determine what education is, what education should be, what three letters we should say, we should not say, what we should talk about. But at the end of the day, we all know it is about the beautiful, wonderful, bright futures of those children that sits in our classrooms on a daily basis that we have to be the thermostat, that we cannot be the thermometer and impacted by the world around us and not see the beauty in the eyes of the children and the future for which they hold. So, my goal today is to hope to help you understand that student engagement is the tool, but student excitement is the fuel that allows for us to be the thermostat. Because it's always the right time to engage our kids. And what better time to engage and try things than right now? So, what is student engagement? What is this thing that we all come here to talk about? I'm excited that you're here because right now you are being the thermostat. At this time of the year, it is so easy to sit back, to relax, and to coax on the tails of things that you've always done, that's already planned, all that good stuff. But when you think about student engagement, we have to intentionally plan ways to actively engage kids inside of our classrooms that builds that excitement, which is the fuel for them to actively learn, that triggers their brain that this is something that I can store, that I'm learning through this engagement and excitement that we're doing inside of our classroom. So, again, I'll tell you, student engagement is the tool, but student excitement is the fuel for which we use to be the thermostat. I see inside the classroom or inside the chat, I say, hey, I'm always a teacher. That, hey, what we're seeing student engagement is that actively and participating, enjoying in the learning process. Awesome. Most definitely need this. Student engagement. So when we go look up student engagement, and you want to get the theory, or if you want to get the actionable things for which it says, student engagement refers to the degree of attention, curiosity, interest, optimism, and passion that students show when they are learning or being taught, which extends to the level of motivation they have to learn and progress in their education. Again, student engagement is the attention to curiosity, to interest, to optimism and passion, the belief that when they are learning, when they're being taught, that I'm motivated to learn and to progress through this process. Student engagement is a tool, student excitement is a fuel to get meaningful, impactful learning to happen for you inside of your classroom. So, why is it important that you be the thermostat this time of the year when it comes to student engagement? Why is it important that you are the thermostat at this time of the year when it comes to student engagement? Talk to me in the chat. Again, I said I want you to be engaged. This is not a sit and get. Why do you believe it's important for you to be the thermostat at this time of the year when it comes to student engagement? Kids feel what we feel. Because it allows for the classroom to progress and students to progress academically. I am the fuel to the fire. Yes, yes. You set the tone for the classroom. They need to be engaged fully so that they are willing to learn, to finish strong, to set the tone. Kids are starting to worry towards the end of the year. Yes. Keeping students engaged so they're ready for the next year. Ownership so there's not learned helplessness, so they just don't coast into the summer. That's right. Man, listen, it looks like some of you guys could be leading this as much as you are participating in this to set the tone. It's not over yet. I totally agree. Consistency to keep them engaged for the next year. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are the thermostat, right? So we're not done. Kids are still learning. They still are engaging. We still want them to know that, like, hey, this is not a end of the book, right? Your story is still being written. You're writing the story of your life when it comes to your educational attainment. So at the end of the year, we are still writing. We are going to finish the chapter, but how do we want that chapter to finish? What's the thermostat? Like where's are we gonna leave it where it's like, hey, it's the end and you know what, we're all done and you know everything you know, or do we leave them still engaging, still hungry, still wanting to go next year into a classroom that actually engages them, that challenges the teachers to reach them, to teach them, that sees the kids inside their classroom and wants them to be actively engaged. I don't want them to lose a but I always have to start the motto that I want to finish strong. When we think about student engagement, and student engagement engages the learners, right? Like it engages the learner. I had this long conversation with this administrator I was coaching, and we were talking about student engagement inside the classroom, and he was um, taking student engagement as students who raise their hand. If students just raise their hands, they are engaged inside the classroom. And that's a method of like seeing which students are wanting to respond. But if I have kids raise their hand, but only one kid is answering, are they all actively cognitively engaged? And how do I know if they are? Student engagement should provide practice without, it should say without penalty. Sorry, should provide practice without penalty. Student engagement should not be something that you're looking to be a punitive thing. You want them to try. That trial and error, there is learning happening in that process. We want them to provide practice without penalty. We want to encourage positive peer interactions. Man, I having a conversation with my high school algebra and math team. Here we're talking about kids don't know how to engage. So I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to one of our kindergarten, first grade, or second grade classrooms and see how student engagement happens. And tell me students don't know how to engage. Tell me students don't know how to collaborate and work in groups because they do it all the time. And student engagement should be there. I believe that early childhoods are the masters of this thing called collaboration and student engagement. Also, student engagement allows us time to see and hear students thinking. We actually get to hear and see students thinking inside of this process of student engagement. That's why it's so important. In addition to that, here are three types of student engagement. There's behavioral engagement, right? That means that are they participating? Are they paying attention? Are they following directions, right? When you're raising your hand, that's a little bit behavioral engagement. But what we see in early childhood is like singing a song. One, two, three, all eyes on me. Right? That's behavioral engagement. They know that when it's one, two, three, all eyes on me. Kids repeat what you're saying, joining in a group activity, clean up, everybody, everywhere, right? Behavioral engagement, where we're engaging kids, kids start singing a song that activates them to do an activity that they actually are doing, right? There's emotional engagement, right? Are kids happy? Are they interested? Are they connected with each other, right? So if we're emotionally engaged in there, what smiling during a read aloud, like are we picking up that when we're reading, are we reading with emotions? Are we reading to get kids emotionally connected into the story? Are we showing excitement about what they're doing in their groups and collaborating? Asking to do something again, right? When students get do something and they know they're engaged, they're going home, they're telling their parents about it, they're telling their friends on the playground about it, and they're coming in the classroom asking teacher, can we do it again? Can we do it again? Right? They're so excited to be emotionally connected to this activity. And cognitively engagement is are they thinking deeply or problem solving? Cognitively, like kids, when you see them, like that light bulb moment that we all talked about, and they're asking questions, like you say, oh, when they're older, like, oh my gosh, they're asking a million questions, right? They gain 21 questions. man, making predictions, right? Like they're like, ooh, I wonder what's gonna happen next. Oh, I think this is gonna happen next. Oh, no, I think this is gonna happen next. Experimenting during play when they're working with the Legos, and they're like, well, I wonder if I stack 50 blocks up, how long can I keep stacking until it falls over? Then they start crying because the thing that they were stacking just fell over. They're so emotionally attached to the thing that they were doing because they really loved it. That's them cognitively thinking and experimenting. And then they explain what they think that will happen and what will happen, or they're foreshadowing a story with a picture. Man, this is so amazing. I absolutely love these things: behavioral engagement, emotional engagement, cognitive engagement. I guarantee we all can all think about different ways that we do this that we wouldn't even say it was student engagement. It was just like things that we do that are good teaching, right? Like it's good to engage kids in the practice, or having songs in the practice. I absolutely love this, right? So, three different types of student engagement: behavioral engagement, emotional engagement, and cognitive engagement. We get it wrong as we get older because we focus on the cognitive engagement, but we have to continue to think about the behavioral and the emotional engagement that they learn in our early childhood that we need to continue throughout their schooling. Drivers of student engagement in early childhood. There's a lot of choice and voice, right? Here are your options. You have four stations. You have the water station, the sand station, you have the building station, you have the technology station. You have a choice in where you start and your voice and what you want to do. Absolutely. Hands on learning opportunities. Drivers, kids, if they just sit down and just listening to you, no, they need to actively be hands on, minds on. And that's the key: hands on, minds on learning inside the classroom. Movement and music, I love, absolutely love. Listen, I had a kid that, or it's not a kid now, it's an adult, and he tagged me on Facebook one time and he said, do you remember inside your classroom when you would go, knives having dull blades, don't cut meat, kilo hecka deca base, deci centi I still remembered it as an adult who's like, man, I remember we learned this inside of class. There's a connection in that movement and that music that you do. So whether you know there's brain science behind it and you're doing this at the classroom because you saw it and it's fun, there's brain science behind why you do what you're doing, and being relevant to them, to what they're doing, to their interests is absolutely key to engagement. Here's student engagement opportunities that, like, think about it. Student engagement opportunity, move and discuss, right? Hey, you're going to get with a partner, you're going to look at the picture, and you're going to tell us, how does this picture make you feel, right? How does this picture make you feel? Move and discuss, okay? You have a partner. All right, I want you now go find somebody who has on blue shoes or a blue shirt, and then talk to them about that same thing, right? So then we're moving, we're discussing, but we're also talking about colors, and they're collaborating and they're engaging and they're learning how to take turns to share. Student engagement opportunity, practice, right? Practice without penalty. Extend the thinking, engagement, like they learn something, but like, let's just try and see what we can do with this, right? And then student engagement activities also gives them a time to show you evidence of their learning. I mean, if you think about this: move, discuss, practice, extended evidence, you can do that all in one and not know that that's what you're doing because it's just good teaching to you. But however, those things are so important for student engagement to be alive in there. So we're going to talk about a couple different activities that I think that you could start doing, or another way of thinking about doing, that is related to you being a thermostat when it comes to student engagement. So the thermostat ticket challenge. And this is what I love, right? So the thermostat ticket challenge is you give a small challenge every day. Be the helper, use kind words, stay kind during transitions. And students earn thermostat tickets for positive actions they use inside of the classroom. You can put them on display. Two different ways that I absolutely love it. So think about this. If you have talking about, hey, here at the end of the year, and kids are being kids and they're being more active, or you have a rowdy group of boys that are just being boys because boys learn through rough and tumble play, which is research based, right? But we need to be in an environment to know when things are appropriate or not. Here are our challenge for today. I want to see you being a helper. here are tickets that you can get. And if you have a class that's really advanced, maybe you give everybody 2 tickets that if they see someone being a helper or using kind words, they give that person a thermostat ticket. So then not only you want to talk about evaluation, student managed classroom behavior, students are now acknowledging other kids who are meeting the expectation of the thermostat that you want to set inside of your classroom. I mean, there you go. Right there, you're setting here where you're engaging kids in a way that is still the end of the year, but keeps them on target for where you want to be at this time of the year. You can give it to them. Man, get your custodians involved in it. Hey, we're doing this thing, thermostat tickets. If you see one of my kids picking up trash at lunch or you're doing something, give them this and tell them why you're giving it to them, right? Across the board, bus drivers, you got bus drivers that need some motivation to keep kids engaged or compliant on the bus, get some thermostat tickets. Hey, you were doing what you're supposed to do. Give that to your teacher, right? And it doesn't have to lead to anything that's this big prize if you don't want it, but just acknowledging kids for what you expect them to do and stepping up and doing that behavior, man, it is amazing. You will be amazed at how that does. Response cards. You all may do this. Students hold up response cards simultaneously in response to a question by the teacher. Now, some people do response cards like a thumb, right? Like, hey, just put a thumbs up. Here you go, this and the other. But what if it's at this time you're reading a story and your response card is a smiley face, a sad face, or a question mark? Hey, if you hear something in the story that makes you smile, put up a smiley face. Talking about emotion. If you hear something that like you're like, ooh, that's sad. Like that's put up the frowny face. And if you're like, what does that word mean? Or what is this? Put up your question thing. Like let's be engaged during our reading time, right? So kids are actively engaged inside of that. Man, students, their response cards, there's lots of different things that you could do in there, but thinking outside of like just the academics, think about how the behavior and emotional aspect of engagement can be part of your response cards as well. Agree or disagree, right? So response cards that are like, I agree with this statement, I disagree with this statement. True or false, everyday emotion. A response card can be as kids are coming in and you have like a smiley face, like you have different things of how they feel today, and they just walk by and they high five it. Or I saw where it's like, give me a high five, thumbs up, dancing, walk inside the classroom. That's a form of the response cards, but an active movement, right? When they come in, we do thumbs up and thumbs down in pre-K. Absolutely. Is there any other way that anybody else do response cards inside of their classroom? What's greater than or less than? Talk about math. Which one's greater? Is this greater than or less than this number? Have a number on the board, pull up different numbers. They have to put greater than, less than. How else have you used response cards inside of your classroom? Visuals. Snap your fingers. Use charts. Top hands. Ooh, make a heart with your hands when you love something we read. Ah, I love that. Sign language for yes if you agree. Uh-huh. Silent fireworks. Wait, it's like psh, 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 psh. I love it. Absolutely. Thank you all so very much for being engaged inside this chat. This allows for us to model that engagement for which we want to have. Fist to five level of understanding. Oh my gosh, we're about to get to that next one. I love alligator mouth for greater than. Yep, absolutely. Rhythmic clapping for agree or disagree. Ooh, ooh, nice. Catch them being good. Kiss your brain. Absolutely love it. Thank you all so very much. So, the next idea of the conversation that we have is the high five summary. Students prove they understand a concept by creating a detailed summary. And as early as kindergarten, I have a kindergartner at my home and a second grader at my home, right? Two boys, acting engaged, high five summary. When we are reading and talking about that, we say, hey, guys, I tell my boys, give me a high five. All right. Now, I want us to talk about 5 things inside of this story. So, we're going to talk about a high five story. You can print out a paper that's of a hand, high five, right? So, One, thumb. What's the big idea of the lesson or the unit of the story? Like, what's the big idea, right? In here. Is there a lesson? Pointer. Give me three important words out of this. What are three words that you learn or you didn't know or that you think is important in here? What is some textual evidence that supports your big idea, right? As they're young, give me a page or where the number that the picture is on that supports your evidence, right? Ring finger. What's something important that you should remember from this, right? Pinky. Was there something confusing or something new for you? Okay, now in the palm of the hand, I want you to give me a one sentence summary, right? If they can't do a sentence summary, draw a picture that depicts your idea. There's lots of different ways. Ooh, what, where, when, how, and why? Absolutely. High five. And then once they get that, once they're done, with that, I have them put their hand up and say, all right, when you're done, put your high five up. And I come around, I give a high five and I look at it. And then what's the next one? Give a high five and look at it, right? And if you are advanced in an older elementary, you can have them high fiving each other and then go share. All right, once you're done, everybody put your hand up. Go high five another person. Okay, once you high five, I want you to share your high five summary. Okay, put your hand back up. Go find somebody else, give them a high five. Go share your summary with that person, right? Absolutely. The high five summary, that can this be used in preschool? So if you think about preschool and where you are inside of that, your high five summary, maybe your thumb may be like, hey, can you give what's a letter that you recognize from this story, right? Your pointer here could be like, what's feelings? Draw the picture of the feelings. Like you can make it however you want for that high five summary and using that. Have the kids draw their hand or trace your hand in preschool, have them trace your hand and they do that. Yeah, like absolutely. I do the high five I mentioned and I teach pre-K. Absolutely. Communication, critical thinking question, collaborative real life application, creativity, draw a picture, etc. Yes. See, it can be used instead of thumbs, we use five color pencils for the same thing. Yes, there's several different ways of doing it. But you think about what we're doing, we are actively behaviorally getting kids engaged, cognitively getting kids engaged, and we even have things like confusing, so emotionally getting them engaged inside of this. Like that is the true engagement that can happen when we are doing these activities. Next, SEL focused activity. And it kind of goes with our first one with our tickets, but thermostat traits, badge making. You need activity that goes on with SEL or you want a moment right here. What would happen if we design kids design badges and we're the badge showing the traits of being the thermostat? Like, what is the thermostat they are? Are they being kind? Are they calm? Are they helpful? Are they brave? Are they courageous? Are they furious? Are they like to experiment? You can use this as having class affirmations or daily shout outs. Use to focus on behavior that you want to see exhibit at this time of the year. Like a lot of times we have meetings with parents and it's such a deficit conversation. Such a deficit conversation. I had a meeting today with parents and I said, first I want to hear from this kid. What do they feel like they bring to the school that as an asset that they want people to see them as, right? So if we have that as a badge and we have kids creating those and they're wearing the badge of kindness as an honor, they're wearing the badge of being calm as an honor. Emoji popsicle sticks that kids can create. Yes, they can color it. You can already have them made, all the different things. But like they wear it as a badge of honor that they are proud that they're exhibiting these traits, right? So it goes along with the tickets, but the kids are creating them. And you'll be amazed at if you talk about like the different traits and what it means to be a great kid, and that now that you are starting almost a first grader, what's a badge that you should wear that you know how you should be, right? Or wherever the case may be. And the kids wear that as a badge of honor. They go home and they show their parents, hey, look, I'm almost a first grader and I know how to be brave. I know how to be calm. I'm the best shoe tire that there is, right? Man, this will be something that will be amazing for our kids to be able to go and do. And finally, pick up the slip up. And I love this cognitive engagement of this right here. So I want you to think about this, right? So student analyze 3 statements associated with the concept and make references about which 2 are true and which is inaccurate. So what I would have kids do is get post-it notes. Some people have kids bring them. Sometimes you have them all, but get post-it notes. I'll have them put an A on a post-it note. Oh, you can't see that because of my background. Put a B on a post-it note and put a C on a post-it note. When they have the post-it notes, they put all of them, A, B, and C, on their desk. And would ask a question, and they would have to stop and think about which 2 are true and which one is not true. And they're gonna pick up the error, the slip up, the one that's wrong, however you want to call it. I said, pick up the slip up. All right, on the count of 3, you're gonna go with me. You're gonna pick up the slip up. 1, 2, 3, right? And they pick up the slip up. So in that case, kids think about it and they show it. You can have them, hey, here's a question. Hey, go talk to a friend. Now go back to your desk. Think about it. Now, on a count of 3, I want you to pick up. Okay. So it is, and I want us to do this, right? So I want us to think about where we are. Pick up the slip up. So here's the directions, and I kind of talked about it already, but think over it, hover it, and then pick up. So here's the question. Ready? And I want you to put in the chat which letter, A, B, or C, is the slip up. Ready? So I'm going to ask you. We're going to talk about seasons. Which one is a slip up? A, summer is the hottest season. B, winter comes after spring. Or C, leaves fall off trees in summer. Again, I'll ask you the question, which one's the slip up? A, summer is the hottest season. B, winter comes after spring. C, leaves fall off trees in summer. I had students create these, and I see that, you know what? It's D, all the above. B and D, right? I see that. So B, winter comes after spring. Or C, leaves fall off trees. It also depends on, I guess, where you live, right? So let's try another one. Okay? When it comes to money, a dime is worth 10 cents. B, a nickel is worth 15 cents. C, a quarter is worth 25 cents. Again, which one's the slip up? A dime is worth 10 cents. B, a nickel is worth 15 cents. Or C, a quarter is worth 25 cents. Absolutely. So you see how if we're in class, they will talk about it and they would be like, hey, B, right? A nickel's worth 15 cents. That's wrong. That's a slip up, Dr. Young. You don't know what you're talking about, right? So when you think about this activity, how can you use pick up the slip up inside your classroom? How could you use pick up the slip up inside of your classroom? Morning questions, math review. Oh, which diagram says shh. Yes. Let another student explain why it's wrong. Absolutely. To get out the door. Reading comprehension question. No reading exercises. Days of the week. Or if we think about, right, like behavior engagement, what about that time, like right after recess, when kids come in and are like, ah, and you're like, hey, I need them to constantly change from being outside to being inside, but let's do it in an activity way. You can use these during that time, right? So intentionally choosing when you're doing transition. Yes, when you're doing a warm up, when you're going to do some of these student engagement activities, think about some of the rough times of the day. You want to make sure you truly engaging kids during that time of the day. That's really awesome. And then last but not least that we're going to talk about is movement and music. And I absolutely listen. I get people sending me videos that they're like, oh, I can see you doing this inside your classroom if you were still teaching.
We are reviewing our R control valves. AR, are you ready? Yeah!
Ladies and gentlemen, this right here, I tell you, classroom of dreams. If my kid was inside this classroom, they came home saying, "Oh, I know my art control vows." I would be amazed at the engagement. But I want you to say, tell me, what do you notice inside of this lesson? What do you notice inside of this lesson, this moment? What do you notice? Yes. Everyone's involved, great participation, engagement. They're happy and engaged, having fun while learning. Kids got moves. Confident in reading, learning without knowledge of it. Everyone's involved, student engagement, excitement. It meets them where they are with what they have heard, matches inside school and outside school. Dancing with you, I was dancing with no drill and kill. There's music, joy, love, positive energy. Now here's my self-reflection. If I would walk into your classroom, would I see you being the thermostat like this? Like I don't expect for you necessarily to be singing and dancing just because that may not be your thing. But what is your passion that you bring to side the classroom? What's the thermostat that you bring that gets kids actively, positively engage into the learning process? I mean, I absolutely love it. Personal, she did it with them. Yes, like that is when we have just talked about behavioral engagement, we talked about cognitive engagement, and we talked about our movements inside of that, the emotional engagement inside of that. I mean, this is what I truly believe. I'm gonna leave you with two things. One I said before, and another one I need you to know. Remember, student engagement is the tool, student excitement is the fuel to allow for you to be the thermostat and actively engage kids inside the classroom. And sometimes it looks a little funny. Sometimes it feels a little weird. Sometimes that teacher next door may not understand why you do what you do to get the results for your students. But what I would tell you is to make a difference, you have to do the things that other people do not think to do to get the results that others are not able to get. Continue to end the year strong, engaging your kids cognitively, behaviorally, emotionally to get the results that other people are not able to get. Thank you all so very much for attending today's webinar. I hope that you leave here with not only enthusiasm and excitement, but with a little bit of tools to be in your toolbox to end the school year strong. Thank you, Adam.
Hey, my man, Tron, that was amazing. Everyone, thank you for all the comments. Dude, I know I've seen you talk before, but this was super engaging, just as every time I see you. So thank you so much. This was amazing. I can tell by the comments, and I know myself, I'm ready to jump right back into a classroom and get ready using some of this stuff. It was so great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I know there were a ton of comments that came through, which were amazing. There was one question that I wanted to throw your way. First of all, Aaron, I see your question. Yes, you will be getting an email with the link to this broadcast, so I'll make sure to remind everyone of that. But Tron, shouting one out to you. Jennifer asked, well, first of all, she praised your ideas and asked about some of these ideas that you have. Do you have any kind of like handouts or places you want to point people towards after this is over to follow more of your stuff or find things that you have out there?
Yeah, so you can follow me on all the social media platforms. Tron, the number two, the word teach, the number four, and the letter U. Tron to teach for you. Or also on my website, www.tronyoung.com. Reach out and connect with me. I would be happy to share with you any of the resources. You also get the slides for this.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. So, everyone, checking out this slide right now. As I mentioned before, I am here as a teacher on behalf of my good friends from ESGI joining EdWeb for this today. I do see Kristen through Tron's socials link into the chat box there for all of you as well. One thing that we are so proud of is this platform ESGI, and we're so excited to host these webinars every month with people like Dr. Young. But we do have a couple things to talk about. We have winners of a really amazing prize. Now, one thing to note, if any of you are current ESGI teachers, thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you are using ESGI and haven't yet done so, we highly suggest check out all the new features that are there on the new dashboard and the way it looks. It's amazing. If you've never tried ESGI before, you can scan that code right there on your screen to get a free 60-day trial of ESGI using the promo code TRON. So you scan that, or you can head to esgisoftware.com or click the link in the chat box and make sure where it says promo code you type in TRON, TRON. That will get you 60 days to try out this amazing progress monitoring software for free. I say amazing as a teacher that uses it. I've used ESGI for 12 years or more. Love it for progress monitoring and sharing stuff with my parents and my classrooms. So make sure you use that promo code to get that free for 60 days. I see people commenting ESGI is the best. Thank you so much. That's amazing to see. Y'all have been amazing. I know Tron mentioned from the start that we love engagement on these things, and y'all were engaged. You kept that chat box rolling. It was hard to keep up with, but you guys were amazing in this chat going on here, and it kept the energy for sure. So again, I am here with ESGI as a teacher and ESGI user, but we're all here because of this amazing community of EdWeb educators and this platform. Tron, I did see another question pop back up there that says, does Tron have any more PD that he does? Do you have a schedule of conferences or anything out there on your website?
I do. So I have events. I also post them on my social media. In there, I do PD. I do workshops, in services, all those things for districts, as well. This summer, I have a conference in Illinois. I'll be at the National Principals Conference presenting, as well. So follow me on my socials. You'll be able to check out where I'm at and where I'm headed.
Very cool. Yeah, and for those of you that asked that, as someone who has gotten the opportunity to see Tron speak live, if you're needing someone to come to your district or needing to get to a conference to see someone, he's definitely someone you want to check out because this was amazing. But picture that live on a stage with more energy. It's awesome. So yeah, if you get that opportunity, definitely check it out. Crystal, on social media, check out Instagram. It's Tron number two teach number four the letter U. Tron 2 Teach for You. And I know Kristen threw that in the chat there a little while ago. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone again. Again, don't forget to check your emails for the certificate, the link to this broadcast. And I'd love for y'all to check out ESGI's YouTube channel. We do webinars every month. There's a bunch of on there for free to watch. So you can go back and rewatch ESGI webinars on YouTube at any time. Thank you to everyone at EdWeb. Thank you to you, Tron. It's been amazing. And thank you to all of you
Thank
amazing
you. Thank
educators for what
you.
you're doing. Everyone have a good night.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining us.
All right. Have a good one.